I want to tell you a story. My story. The one I carried in silence for a lifetime. A story about war. About love. About the man I was never supposed to love. And the child they tore away from me. I was 20 when the war swallowed my village in northern Italy. One morning I woke to German boots on our streets, German orders in our factories, and fear in every window. We were told to obey, to work, to survive quietly. And so I did. I was sent to a German-run factory in town. Day after day, I stood at a conveyor belt with hands that never stopped shaking. The soldiers walked past us like shadows. Cold. Silent. Watching. Until the day one of those shadows stopped. He wasn't like the others. His eyes weren't hard. They were searching. Curious. Human. His name was Klaus. A young German soldier. My enemy. The one man I should have feared most. But when he spoke to me, quietly, almost apologetically, something inside me softened. Maybe it was the loneliness. Maybe it was the exhaustion. Maybe it was the way he looked at me like he could still see a world outside the war. At first, we exchanged simple words. He tried his Italian. I tried my German. We laughed at each other's mistakes. And for a few seconds each day, I forgot the world was burning. Soon, those seconds turned into minutes. And those minutes turned into stolen moments behind the barn or at the back of the factory where no commander's eyes could reach us. I don't know when it happened. I don't know the exact day. But I fell in love with him. Quietly. Hopelessly. Dangerously. He would smile at me and whisper, "One day, Lucia, I will marry you." I used to laugh at him. But part of me, the part that survived on hope instead of bread, believed him. We shared stories, secrets, dreams we weren't allowed to have. And for a moment, just a tiny moment, I felt alive. But war doesn't care about love. War doesn't care about two frightened young people trying to hold on to something pure. One night, everything changed. I realized I was carrying his child. I remember sitting on the factory steps, hands on my stomach, whispering apologies to a future I wasn't sure I could protect. Fear clawed at me. If the Nazis found out, they would punish me. They would punish him. But when I told Klaus, his face broke into the softest smile I had ever seen. He held my hands and whispered, "Our baby will know peace one day." Peace. What a dangerous, beautiful dream. As my belly grew, so did the tension in the village. Searches. Raids. Whispers. And then, the day came. My daughter was born. My little Margot. Tiny. Warm. Perfect. I held her only for minutes. Minutes. Then the Nazi welfare office stormed into the room. Cold hands. Cold voices. Cold laws. They tore her from me. Just tore her away. I screamed until my throat bled, begged, fought, cried. They didn't care. They didn't even look back. All because her father was German, and her mother was not. When I reached for Klaus, he was already gone. Transferred. Moved. Lost to the front lines. The war swallowed him the same way it swallowed everything else. I walked home alone weeks later, clutching a small blanket to my chest. I believed my daughter was dead. I believed Klaus was dead. And I believed my heart would never beat the same again. Life after the war was quiet. Too quiet. People went back to plowing fields, repairing houses, rebuilding whatever the bombs had spared. But I was rebuilding a grave inside my chest. I married. I lived. I smiled when people needed me to. But inside, I carried two ghosts. The man I loved, and the child I lost. For 70 years, I carried them. 70. I grew old with secrets heavier than my bones. Every birthday, every Christmas, every quiet evening by the window, I whispered to a daughter who might never have existed, and to a man who might never have survived. Then, one morning in 2015, a letter came. The Italian Red Cross. The International Tracing Service. They had found something. Someone. Her. My daughter. My Margot. Alive. Searching for me. Looking for the woman she had been told died in the war. My hands shook as they guided me to the living room. My family held their breath. And then, she walked in. 70 years old. Gray-haired. Smiling with eyes that were undeniably mine. Time did not matter. Blood recognized blood. Heart recognized heart. I touched her face the way I wished I had when she was a newborn. She held me like a mother. I held her like a daughter. And we cried. All 3 generations cried. Italian, German, the past, the present. All in one room. We opened a bottle of sparkling wine. We laughed. We mourned. We healed. She told me about her childhood in Germany. Her siblings. Her life. The lies she had been told. That I had died in the war. I told her the truth. Every shattered piece of it. Every fragment I had carried like shrapnel in my heart. And for the first time in 70 years, I felt whole. People call it a miracle. Maybe it is. Maybe it's simply proof that love, real love, does not die. Not even in war. Not even after decades of silence. I never found Klaus. He returned home after the war, married, lived, and died without knowing what happened to me. But I like to believe he loved me until his last breath. And that somewhere, in whatever comes after this life, he knows our daughter came home to me. I spent a lifetime loving a man I should have hated. Loving a baby I was not allowed to hold. Loving a future stolen by war. But in the end, love found its way back to me. And this is the story I whispered to the world. After a lifetime of silence, the story of how I loved my enemy, and how love, even broken, forgotten, forbidden, still found a way to survive. If you liked this story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories like this.